Hello, and welcome back to the GTD Podcast. I'm the Norix I Speak for podcast, and we are, and I did this
Good
last
line
week.
read.
Good. Apparently, even though I took a month break last week, I somehow did last week's opening better than today. I am here as always with my lovely co-host Devin and Matthew.
Yep.
Yes.
One of whom has stayed up for a little bit too long.
Oh, yes. Well, we'll see how that goes, won't we?
Uh-huh.
Yes. We have several things coming up in the show that we will be discussing. We'll be talking about what we've done this week. Then going through some trailers for Ship of Fools, Roots of Yggdrasil, Lunabis, and Midnight Fight Express. Then moving on to host topics, or no host topics, probably just skipping the news. That's probably what's going to happen. In the news region, well, okay, technically we do have a host topic. In the news regards, we're going to be talking about what people have found in the I keep starting that sentence incorrectly. In the news, we'll be discussing several things, including the Pokemon Company being nice, which is a change of pace for certain types of companies. Sunsoft announcing plans to return, as well as some interesting looking information data mined off of the newly launched PC version of Spider-Man Remastered. Also, on top of that, when I say technically we have a host topic, I'm talking about so we'll get to it, but technically it's part of the news. There's new D&D stuff releasing, and even though it's not technically video game related, I wanted to talk about it, so that'll technically be a host topic, just because I don't know, it confused me, and I just want to talk about it for a minute or so, but we'll get to that later. Moving on to the after news, shameless self-promotion in the show. So let's just jump into things. Matthew, what have you been up to this week?
What have I been up to? That is an excellent question.
Is it
writing, basically?
All right.
A little bit of Minecraft, but basically just writing.
All right, sounds good.
I'm almost done with what I can actually fit into the contest. It's going to be about half the book.
Does it have the contest said it needed to have an ending?
Yes, it will.
All right, then. Enjoy that, I guess.
Book ending does not mean ending to the story completely.
All right.
There is an important difference.
Yes. One of them allows you to make a sequel and the other one doesn't.
Exactly. I see, you understand.
Yes.
Also, I am known to be not very good at making short narratives, so
I never would have guessed that. Never would have come.
Well, then you have not been paying attention.
Is that it? Anything
Yep.
else worth mentioning or otherwise?
Nope.
Just been writing your book. I see.
You can read it when shameless self-promotion comes around, and I'll tell you where to read it.
Well, I guess that'll be a good section for you, won't it? All right, then, Devin.
Sure.
What have you been up to this week?
Well, here's the thing. It hasn't been a week. It's just been the past 2 days minus yesterday.
Okay.
I also decided to write another book. And I decided a while ago. And the problem is my first book ends with a cliffhanger at the end. So there's a little bit of a problem.
And what's the problem?
I didn't want to follow that cliffhanger.
I see.
I didn't want to resolve it because I set it up without really putting thought into the fact that I would also have to pay it off.
You did a Back to the Future.
Did they do that? Oh man.
I mean, yeah, if you didn't know, the original Back to the Future, you know how the original Back to the Future ends with Doc coming back and saying, "It's your kids, Marty, you have to take about your kids." That was literally a joke in the script. They did not expect to have to actually do anything with that.
Oh,
It was literally a joke in the script. So they,
that's funny. They locked themselves in.
Yeah. So when the sequels came, I was like, well, shit, now we have to, because I remember specifically in interviews and stuff, they would talk about how it's like we could have done anything with the sequel, but because of the ending, we locked ourselves in. It's like, no, we have to do this. So that's why they get rid of Jennifer as quickly as possible, so they don't have to have her along for the adventure.
Oh,
so they try and get rid of Jennifer as quickly as possible and resolve the kids stuff as soon as possible, just so they can try and focus on something else for the rest of the film.
Oh man.
Which they did successfully.
So
but yeah, so that's what you did.
So I had here's the problem though. I had several different ideas, which I tried them, and I wrote out one of them up to like 10,000 words or something, and it was terrible. And I wrote it out again, and it was still terrible. And I was like, all right, this idea is bad. I'm gonna do a new idea. And the idea was, so at the end of the story, Michael picks up this kid. He saves this kid, and the kid doesn't have any parents to pick him up, so Michael takes him, because otherwise he's going to be tossed back into the place where they got him from, which means he'll probably just die. And so the kid has to have an origin, right? But I didn't actually write him with any origin, because I was not thinking it out at all at the time. I was just trying to get it finished, because the original ending had been changed.
Right.
So I was just like, who's this kid? And I had to look at what I had written in order to figure out what the audience is going to know about this kid, so that I don't accidentally give him character traits or make him do something where it's like you reread and you're like, wait, why did he do that? And it's like, because I wrote it like that. And I didn't know at the time, and I don't want to be that kind of author.
Right.
So then I was like, all right, so this kid has to basically just be a normal kid, probably.
Right.
I presume, or something. And so I had to work out how the kid got with Michael, and then what happened, how he got to the place that Michael saved him from, and then also what was going to happen after that. And then also I had to figure out if this was even a story worth telling. Which it wasn't exactly, because I don't want to be the guy where it's like the character does a big huge world saving adventure and then does another one immediately after that, or
just world saving adventures.
I mean, Michael would consider it a world-saving adventure, not in the sense that he saved the world from impending doom, but he saved the world from from effectively a large man-made disaster, but not made by men, a monster disaster. He saved us a lot of pain, not necessarily actually saved us from calamity. Calamity was not likely.
Right.
All right.
So here's the problem. The whole thing, everything I could come up with was boring or wouldn't really work properly to tie in. I needed there to be off-screen development time between Michael and the kid. And I finally figured it out. Write something completely different and then somehow tie it as a sequel. Pretend it's a sequel. And so if people are really curious what happens after that cliffhanger and they read the second book, they'll be like, oh, Michael and the kid lived and did this stuff together, and they've been hanging out for a while. And if they want to know immediately what happened, they can read that in this other book. And so I found some old notes, and I realized that I could make a story out of them. And then after I worked on that story for a little bit, I realized I could tie it to the Michael story. And then I've worked on it for about 2 days, and it's at 23,000 words, which is a fifth of a novel, a fifth of a Harry Potter. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, it's good to know that you're in the life of every story writer ever.
I just have my I'm not even well, maybe I'm probably more than 1% of the way through, but I'm only a little bit way through the editing process now. Because what I've got to do is I got to go back through and read it. I got to create a backup copy, go through and read the backup copy. and cringe as I find parts where I just don't detail things, because when I was writing it, I had an outline. And so whenever I came up with anything that didn't connect to the outline, I just would like bull through it really fast. It's like this character, he gets adopted by a new family. He loves them and he's living with them and he's happy. And here's some characterization words. All right. So once that has been established, this is what's happening. And it's like, all right, but that needs to be, you can't just write, he lives with them and he's happy.
Well,
no, I mean,
you can.
You can.
But the audience is going to be like, well, obviously this part of the story isn't important. Like signaling pretty dramatically, I would say.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
So I need to add more details. And then also it's good to just have more details and like have a little bit of emotional explanation. And like I'm kind of bad at emotional through lines because I don't like watching them in movies a lot of times. So I don't really study them clearly, obviously.
What?
I think the main thing is I just don't like badly done emotional through lines, and a lot of them are so incredibly boring, or generic. And then you have like for example, Studio Ghibli does really, really good emotional through lines, but I also have a really hard time studying them because like, what the heck am I looking at? I'm looking at a masterpiece right there.
Yeah, you can still learn from masterpieces.
You can. And it's way better to learn from masterpieces than to try to figure out or like waste time analyzing like TV shows, a lot of TV shows, because they're very formulaic.
yeah, honestly. You know. Yeah, it like if you want to learn, and this is probably something you know already, but it's like if you want to learn weird stuff about the craft of storytelling, it's honestly better to start at the beginning, just because like if you look at old stuff, you'll see how people thought about stories back then, and it'll give you more of perspective of how we've changed how we tell stories.
Or I could rewatch Treasure Planet over and over because that movie had good emotional through lines.
Yeah, you could do that, I suppose. You could. I mean, it's my favorite movie of all time, but you know, I'm not sure if I could do that.
Well, here's the thing. There are emotional through lines in the story. There is an actual story to Treasure Planet that has nothing to do with the plot. Like if you removed the plot entirely, it was just, and you just take the emotional beats, there's a really good story there. And it's meaningful and detailed and complicated and not very formulaic, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I don't remember it feeling predictable, or like they were following the formula rather than the characters they weren't. It was a trick that I realized was like, if you have a character who's like archetypal, that's different than a character being an archetype.
Yeah.
So like Conan the Barbarian is an archetypal warrior. He is the archetype of this action hero warrior guy because he created it.
Yeah. That's usually the case for a lot of like tropes and archetypes when they are first created. Is that, you know, the more you reuse the concept, the more you become the, you know, a watered down version of it.
Yeah.
You know? It's kind of like, well, I mean, you brought up a good example. It's like, you know, Conan the Barbarian is, you know, that archetypal character, but he also does other stuff in those films, from what I recall. Doesn't he use magic as well, or something? I don't remember.
To be honest, I actually have no idea.
I feel like that's the case. It doesn't matter. But yeah, like I get where you're coming from with that, because you know, I'm a firm believer of the fact that like you can use cliches and archetypes just fine. Even like the only people that are going to care about it being a cliche are critics who have watched too many films and postmodernists who fucking analyze media too much,
and people who have watched films. If you watch, I think audiences can get sick of archetypes and cliches if they want.
I mean, yes, that's why
like
every 5 years or so there's a new thing that saturates the market. It's like after the market saturates every film in existence with a certain cliche or archetype, they switch over a different one to hyperfixate on. That's just how Hollywood works, honestly. It's like, what's a good example? Like in the early 2010s,
superheroes.
Oh, well, yeah, actually, that hasn't gone away yet, though, is the thing. I don't know. Superheroes is a good example. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say superheroes is a really, really good example because they already had, like, people were complaining, the film critic people were complaining about, oh, this is gonna get stale because they have the same formula they're repeating over and over, like the broad formula. But I thought it was pretty good. And then they literally just started relying on the formula and making their movies abide to the formula, even when those movies were things like Eternals, which shouldn't have had that and didn't need to have those what are you stop.
If there's one thing that I hate about the sort of Marvel formula at this point is that it's too in its own thing. Like, I personally believe that all of the films up into Endgame rather, is like, that's a good stretch. That's 10 years worth of filming. That's 10 years worth of films, all of which, even though some of them are not great films, all of them at least have their own ideas and feels. I mean, rewatching like the original Iron Man, it's really weird, like rewatching the original Iron Man and then just skipping to what we have now. It's so like
rewatching the original Iron Man, then at the same time rewatching the original Hulk, the original Captain America, and then the original what was that other one? There was one other one.
Thor, maybe?
The original Thor. Rewatching those whatever. Whatever. My brain doesn't work. Rewatching however many of those movies there are, it gives you a very different, like, they actually have, like you said, they actually have distinct flavors. And they're actually like pushing a little bit. Like there's some risks being taken in those films.
The
characters aren't just like, it doesn't feel like it's been consumed by an ideology or being manipulated. Like Captain America's American, and it's like unabashedly like, yes, we were the good guys in World War II. And like, if they remade Captain America today, they would add like, capitalism is bad, even though we were also fighting in World War II against socialists. But capitalism's bad, right?
I don't think that's. I haven't watched the original Captain America in a while, but I don't think that's quite the case.
Were good guys. Not
I mean, they were fighting.
Misunderstood communists.
They were fighting Hydra, which is like super Nazis.
Yeah, I know.
I always love the fact that Hydra is just Nazis.
No, Aaron, YouTube bans your channel if you say that word, though.
Why would that?
Yeah, they put a tag. They put a tag number on channels that say certain things. I'm not joking about this. You can look. There's some videos on it where they're if you go into the actual code for the web page for the video UID or whatever it's called, you can see these like strings of numbers, and no one knows what they mean, but you can actually see them on different videos, and some videos have the same little code number on them. And people have correlated the swearing one, and they've correlated the actually there's different swearings, but they've correlated a couple of different swearing ones, and I think they correlated something to do with content warning, like violence content warning, but they're not sure what it exactly categorizes. And then there are a couple of mysterious ones no one's sure about.
Well, I mean, YouTube's system has been broken for the last 10 years, so
that is true.
It's never been fixed. It was always
but Aaron, you must obey the YouTube overlords and not say the N-word. I mean the N-word, the other N-word.
What, Nazis?
Either N-word. Don't say
that's an unfortunate letter to be associated with both of those words. That's an unfortunate letter.
Oh, you thought S had problems for being the most common letter in the alphabet. Nah, N has problems for being confusing. No, that's the funniest thing though. There's people who will unironically be like, don't make me say the N-word. They used to be, at least, because they would say no. It's no. Or you need to learn to say no, but they can't say, you need to learn to say the N-word because that sounds terrible.
That's weird. What was I gonna lost my train of thought slightly. What was I
I'm
gonna
sorry.
say?
I'm this is my 20-hour brain here, or
I
whatever.
can tell. What was I? Yeah, because that's right.
Modern Marvel movies are all very similar because they have to hit their peak. They have to hit their peaks. They have to have the world be in danger. For some freaking reason, they have to have the world be in. I don't understand why they do that.
I mean, that's just because they've.
It's the same reason every character who buys a shotgun in a movie has to saw it off so that they have a sawed-off shotgun, because it's dangerous and iconic, and people know that sawed-off shotguns are dangerous and illegal. And
right. I will say, I think the reason that is the case is just because, to use a term from, I guess, shonen anime, power creep. Hollywood has discovered what power creep is, and they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah,
because
they could just look at comics.
They had, well, yeah, that's the problem. That's the biggest problem with comics. Comics don't know what to do with it either, but they are so long running and so many different universes that they just don't care about it.
There are some comics that have figured out solutions to power creep.
Yeah, the ones that aren't part of the main timeline. That's the case at this point. Like, comics are such long-running series and reboot their continuity so much that it doesn't actually matter. You can just tell a story in whatever universe you want.
Maybe that's what they're trying for.
I mean, that's
the groundwork.
That's kind of the only reason comics are still somewhat successful, I think.
No, I know. What I mean is, maybe that's what the MCU is trying for. It's not, but maybe that's what the MCU is trying for, Aaron. Maybe
I mean, they introduced the multiverse, I think, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe they're trying to go for a state where instead of making the same movie over and over like they are going to and plan to, they're instead going to do the exact opposite of what the directors are telling them to do. Not the directors, the producers, the people who are funding them. And instead of doing safe products that are going to fail, because they're not going to be very good, but Disney doesn't realize that. Instead, they're going to, and by fail, I mean eventually fail, not like fail immediately.
They'll fall out of public consciousness in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
The original Iron Man won't, but
nope.
That's just because it's kind of a weirdly timeless film in its own way.
It's a shameless anti-war movie that never says war is bad even once. And it's shamelessly anti-rich, even though the main character is rich and we love him.
Yeah. Yeah. That movie did. Sorry, this is a small tangent. That movie did a very good job of updating and like zoning in on Tony Stark's backstory and origin, because he does have one of my favorite origins, and he also is like one. Like, I really enjoy Tony Stark as a character, especially that version of Tony Stark who's like this arrogant rich boy who has a massive reality check in like the most horrifying way possible. By literally by literally being confronted with the things that he has done.
And then being told by bad people to make weapons, which he was already doing.
Yeah. It's like, he was doing it already. He just never, had to confront the consequences of doing it.
Yep.
Which is basically his origin. He had to confront the consequences of selling weapons to bad people.
Yeah, see, this is an emotional through line I can deal with and love. I love this. Second movie, he's confronting his own mortality.
Like,
third movie, he's lonely and worried about exploding people. Not as threatening.
That is a bit of a weird one, but I actually did. Here's the thing.
He is not just lonely. Can't sleep and he's traumatized. I forgot about that. He's traumatized.
Because I really liked that film just because the whole Mandarin stuff isn't very good. But I actually did like Tony's characterization just because it seemed, from what I understand, a pretty like good representation of like PTSD in a blockbuster film, which is not something you see very often. Usually,
and it was driven by character. It was his selfishness. coming into contact with him having done a completely uncharacteristic thing,
in
sacrificing himself for the team.
Yeah.
His selfishness confronting with his humanity, and him saving tons of people from a nuke that wasn't even supposed to be there. And
yeah, and it also sort of ties into the, honestly, like Captain America and Tony Stark are 100% the main characters of the MCU, or at least they were. Like
they killed one and then made the other one.
Yeah, they were very
the other
much
one selfish. They killed one by making him selfless, and then they made the selfless character selfish.
Well, I mean, he kind of earned that, to be perfectly honest.
It was still a selfish choice, but he did earn it.
Yeah, but it's like, after every, like,
also it broke him doing that. Him being able to do that broke the way time travel works hilariously.
No.
I always there's a video talking about this.
No, I know, but
he has to return them all simultaneously, or else time's messed up. But also he's returning them to alternate dimensions. But also no, because he shows up in this same dimension.
No, the way I always assumed it worked was that, like, because of the way time and the way they explained it, basically a version of Captain America appears on that bench. It is, regardless of who it is, a version of Captain America is going to appear on that bench because of the way time works.
Is he the time travel one then?
I don't know.
How did he return the stones when he had to return one of them on a distant planet?
Listen,
how did he return the stones?
How did he return the Mind Stone?
Listen, how he returned the Mind Stone is never explained. The Soul Stone, rather, is never explained.
Use the stones to return the stones?
Whoops.
No, it doesn't matter. It was the end of the movie. You can make the end of movies not make sense if you don't want to make sequels.
Well, the weird thing about, like, the only reason they returned the stones is because they didn't want the stones to be a plot point anymore. They just introduced this, like, all the stones have to be here in order for timelines to work, whatever, just so the stones don't exist in the later film.
Here's the thing. It's not a big deal. Most people won't notice it. Will you admit that it is lazy, though?
I mean, kinda.
Okay.
It's like, well, it's one of those weird things where it's like 2 people died for the sake of the Mind Stone, or the Soul Stone.
Yeah. But one, 2 different Soul Stones. Yeah. 2
people died for the sake of the Soul Stone. And as far as I'm aware, it's just, they just put it back, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. He uses another stone to break it.
Because it's never stone. Because, like, Red Skull
maybe he gives it to the Loki people from the Loki.
Red Skull isn't like
dimension.
The keeper of the Soul Stone. He's just the guy that tells you what to do. Like, he has no power on the world, and he's essentially being punished.
No, that's how he did it.
What?
Captain America got to that planet the same way that Red Skull got to that planet.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, they got to the planet to get the soul. It doesn't matter. They were essentially just going through time they were going through time and space because of the weirdness of it.
Yep. And so when Captain America was sent back in time, he was sent back in time simultaneously to multiple locations.
Well, I assumed because of the way everything was working, I assumed he was just doing it like one at a time.
Presumably. But he can't do they had to be, according to what the Wanderer lady said earlier, they had to be returned all at once. Or they had to be returned to the place where they were taken when they were taken.
Yeah, I guess.
According to what they established. All I'm saying is they did time travel a little bit messily, and you can't really think about it.
Yeah.
But at least they didn't have any scenes where characters held a gun and aimed it next to their cheek and then gave themselves a black eye by firing a gun into their face, which I recently learned is the thing that happens.
Yeah.
And at the end of Stranger Things, there's a character who has a weapon and they may have it too close to their face. And you know what they do?
Mm-hmm.
They cut away to it being down here and then cut back to it being back up here.
Weird.
So that they don't bruise their face.
It's kind of weird. Weird. Yes. We're
weird.
slightly off topic here.
Sorry. It's the kind of thing that bothers me because those little details are the things that make Game of Thrones so good.
Yeah,
The
until it
fact
wasn't
that
good
fans
anymore.
could get into the little details, that you could create fans like that. Like Game of Thrones did it so well that a 4-season show, this little old 4-season show, is still relevant 5 years later in the zeitgeist. Yes, a 4-season show. Yes. I can't hear you. You're muted.
I said, yes, 4-season, definitely.
Yes, it's a 4-season show.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely just
like how there
seasons.
isn't live action Avatar: The Last Airbender movie.
Aaron is only holding up 4 fingers, so I don't know what he's talking about. And
Exactly.
yes, there are 4. There's there's the 4 seasons of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
What?
Wait, 3 seasons of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I said,
I mean, you can't count the comics as a season of television, but there is more after the original story.
Yeah,
in
and
the
I've heard they're pretty good.
comics, which, as far as I'm aware, was supposed to be the 4th season, but didn't
What
happen
about-
because Nickelodeon.
Aaron, do you watch any Star Trek?
No,
Oh, okay, never mind. What's
I
the
watched
series?
some Star Trek a while ago, but I never really got into the series.
What's a series that you're really into that's not Dark Souls?
I don't know. That's many.
Okay, One Piece. Imagine if One Piece brought back a character. What? Imagine if One Piece got an American spin-off, but it was actually just the show.
Okay.
The author died, and so some American Hollywood people decided to continue One Piece and write it themselves.
Okay.
So they bring back some characters from the past and have them be the opposite of what they were, but present themselves as the exact same.
Right.
And also ruin the story. And also they introduce time travel for some reason.
I mean, I did hear. I mean, if you were going to use Star Trek as the example, I think I did hear something about that.
Yes. Recent Star Trek has been sad.
Yeah.
And sad. It's sad. It's actually specifically sad because they tried to tie themselves to the original canon.
Yeah.
Because if they made it their own thing, it could be terrible and not traumatizing. But it's like the Doctor Who season. Doctor Who, you like Doctor Who?
I do.
It's like Doctor Who. It's like the Doctor Who has actually been 1 million people throughout. It's like the magical child.
Yeah,
Whatever it's called. The hidden child. The
timeless child.
The timeless child. That's
yes, the timeless child.
Yes.
Canon, right? Totally.
Technically, yes.
Doctor Who is a very good 10-season show of television.
That's not even counting the. That's not even counting the Classic Who series.
I know, which I've actually seen, and I think
Classic Who is pretty. Classic Who is good. It's a very good series of television.
Yeah, impressively so.
Yeah, the stories are a little long, you know.
Yeah, they had more time back then.
Yeah, but it's like the first Dalek story is like 10-hour episode is like 10. It's like 10 episodes, and each episode is like an hour of television.
Oh, okay. It's not a 10-hour episode because that would have been
no, but it's really long. Anyways,
nah.
I don't want to get into the Timeless Child, but I just wanted to bring up the thing that annoys me the most about the Timeless Child, and even against the people that defend it, it's like
people defend it.
Like, it's an okay idea, but there's no reason why it should be the Doctor. Because, first of all, it answers the question of the show, Doctor Who. We now know who the Doctor is. We just don't know what the Doctor is.
Oh.
So it literally answered the question that the show is named after, Doctor Who. But it just has no reason to be the Doctor. It's like, why didn't you make it somebody else, or have it not like if it
just
wasn't
make it the Master, make it the villain.
Could have done that.
It would have been more powerful. Then you're actually threatening the character, and you actually have to use clever writing. Because like you should never have villains who are supposed to be threatening, who are weaker than the heroes. Don't do that. That is bad dynamic. Unless you're playing it off for comedy, like with Ash Ketchum and the freaking Team Rocket, but Team Rocket's never intimidating.
No, until
unless they beat Ash somehow.
They're never intimidating or competent until Pokemon Black, where they're mysteriously competent for some reason.
Yeah, apparently they do something. I don't know.
Something in the water.
They drank a bunch of Unova water, and then they all decided, we're going to be competent. We're going to put on black spy uniforms and actually manage to capture Pikachu in the first episode of the Pokemon Black anime and succeed. And the only reason we don't succeed is because the legendary Pokemon of the region comes to help Ash. That's how the fucking Pokemon Black and White anime starts, by the way. Wow. I'm not even joking.
What a good twist.
Divine intervention.
Yes. It's like, well, whatever. Anyways, I'm getting very off topic.
Okay, so no. I found my thing. It was Timeless Child. We've solved it. That's the series that has been ruined for you. Soon, Lord of the Rings shall follow. Maybe. I have confidence that it will not. I'm confident.
The
those
Lord of the Rings series by Amazon.
Yeah, have you looked at those costumes? They look just like what you might.
Yeah, I agree. Arwen going back in time was a good decision.
What?
What?
Those
the
costumes
actress looks like Arwen's actress, very similar.
Oh yes. Casting Arwen as Galadriel.
Choice.
Great decision. He looks just like her. In fact, they're both blonde and women. And
yeah.
Okay. Know what a sword is.
Yeah, I haven't.
And older than 25.
I haven't really paid attention to that series.
Oh, you should. You should basically, Aaron. All you should do, just look at a promotional picture of it, and look at the clothing that they're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at the
wrong
clothing
character
and go, this looks like this.
I meant
like,
Eowyn.
Okay. I will say it was already kind of thrashed around a little bit by The Hobbit, having nonsense physics and Legolas showing up and using a bow to kill a dragon, propping it off of your son's shoulder. Who wrote that?
No, I have an explanation for that, though, that actually makes sense.
Who wrote it?
Bilbo. Mm-hmm. It's Bilbo's version of what happened. Remember, he went unconscious in the actual story.
Bilbo just made nonsense up about what happened.
I mean, he is writing it. It begins with him writing it, so it's a perfectly.
Why would he write that?
At the end of the film, it just cuts to Bilbo, to Bilbo telling this story to a kid version of.
It does though.
God,
The Hobbit, it actually does.
Why can't Frodo? And Frodo asked, and then it just says, "But how did you know about the parts you weren't there for?"
He's like, "I made it up, Frodo. I made it up."
See, that's a better explanation than nothing being an explanation, at least.
Yeah.
Because he was unconscious for half the battle.
Anyways, to sort of like wrap around to when you were talking about genericness in films is like, because a trailer for that Dungeons and Dragons movie came out. Honor, is it called Honor Among Thieves? I think.
Honor Among Thieves. Yeah.
The trailer for that came out, and boy, oh boy, is that every trailer in existence of the last 10 years.
Yeah. But here's the difference.
Like, I literally D&D just because
doesn't have a large established canon that's solid and well thought out and created by one guy 50 years ago. And then also, it also doesn't have any good movies.
Like, I was watching that trailer and I was like, this trailer is so just generic. It's like, it's the popular song in the background, the cutting between characters saying stuff and spoiling probably large portions of the film in the trailer itself.
Yep.
And also I don't know. It's weird.
Like every time I thought of it,
well, you know,
but I watched that trailer and I was like, just to prove a point, I watched the new Black Panther trailer, Wakanda Forever, and my God, they're not technically similar, but they have the same tone. Or sorry, they're not tonally similar, but they are very similar in terms of how you make a trailer. You know what I mean? It's like you have the song in the background, cut, whatever, voiceover, blah, 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 blah. Also, as far as I can tell, they are just straight up killing Black Panther in universe. By the by.
I mean, yeah.
Because he's dead?
They could have replaced his actor. they
That is actually really true. I forgot they keep doing...
I mean, it's not like they kept Rhodey's original actor anyways.
Rhodey.
They changed it to Don Cheadle instead of his original actor from the first film or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
So,
they've given up. They've decided that they don't want to change.
Also, actors. Bruce Banner had 3 different actors.
What?
He did.
Bruce Banner had 3 different actors, I think.
Well, I'm not sure.
The MCU was
the Hulk movie. I think he might have had for actual Hulk, but he's had a lot of actors throughout time.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. No, he had 2 actors. The one for the Hulk film that sets up like
No, it's Edward Norton as the Hulk in the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, it's not.
It's
whoever it is in the
not Mark Ruffalo. All right.
No, it's not Mark Ruffalo. He had 2 actors.
Wow. Edward Norton versus
I don't know.
Mark Ruffalo.
We've somehow managed to talk about movies and other plot weirdnesses for quite a while at this point.
Yeah, it's been like half an hour.
Yeah, whoopsies.
Yeah, we're a gaming podcast.
Yes, we definitely are.
And we are gamers.
Prove it.
I don't know. But yeah, I want to bring up the Dungeons and Dragons films, Honor Among Thieves. Like, Chris Pine is a bard. It has D&D stuff in it, but it doesn't feel like, it feels like one of those things, like, it is technically being faithful, but it also feels like a very like Hollywood / like Marvel-y film, with that everything, like the thing that I hate most about Marvel to some degree, and I didn't even realize this until thinking about it, is like all of them kind of have the same tone because they have to, but also they're all like kind of comedy films that don't take things very seriously.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, the modern age of Marvel movies are all very, very similar.
Yeah.
Except for Spider-Man Far From Home, which was super successful. Not Far From Home, the other one. Except for the one
Homecoming?
Trying to remember what it was called.
No Way Home?
Homecoming. Except for Spider-Man Homecoming, which was a little bit better because I didn't have such high stakes.
I mean, it had Michael Keaton as the Vulture.
I know. What were the stakes, though? Think about it. What was at risk?
He was gonna steal and sell a bunch of dangerous equipment.
Yeah. Let's go. That's a good stakes, because if he wins, nothing happens.
Yeah, I mean, Far From Home didn't have the world at stake.
I know.
They pretended to have the world at stake.
Yes.
Mysterio pretended like the world was at stake,
and then had vague powers that allowed him to control things.
It was a bunch of
Stark
holograms.
Yes.
Being made with the spy drones.
Totally, yes.
I mean, that's what it was.
Totally.
He was just a regular guy.
Power made total sense.
Anyways.
His power made total sense.
I mean, don't think about it.
His whole thing was essentially just creating massive illusions.
I don't know.
which is what he successfully did. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So is that all you've been doing this week?
Yeah. Writing, building some more stuff on the Minecraft server. Matthew and I did a end thing. We did that a while ago, actually. We tried to beat the game.
Right.
What else happened? That's it.
All right, then.
I might be doing a collab with another YouTuber at some point.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Another YouTuber. This guy has 140,000 viewers.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
When some point.
What?
What?
Yeah, I had this neat idea that we could make a video together, but we fake it. So it's very clearly staged if you're paying attention. If you're not paying attention, it's not clearly staged. So it's very, there are ways to notice easily that it's staged. And so we have it like this, where where we can literally tell, where if you're paying attention, you see it staged. And then we make another video in which we call out the other one for having a staged video, and we point out all the ways that they staged the video. And then we make a second video responding to the other person's response to our and we could potentially do that back and forth for a while, escalating things.
Right.
When would this happen? I'm so confused. Why?
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
People like nitty-gritty drama, and especially if it's actually like really well written out, where we actually ahead of time figure out how many videos we're going to be doing responding to each other and what hints we're going to be revealing as we do the video.
Fair enough.
And how many Easter eggs we're going to hide in.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, then. Kind of interesting. I will say, it's very easy to mess with a YouTube audience.
Oh yeah.
Like
right now we'll be entertaining probably less than 50 total people.
I want to bring up just as like a thing is during a while ago during the Yogscast's like 9th anniversary or something, they were just making like an announcement video thing where they were standing in front of the camera while stuff was happening behind them, and they were just in their office. But because of the way they filmed it, people in the comments were going crazy, like, why are they in a green screen when they were very obviously probably just standing in the office with the background blurred? Like, that's what it was. But people in the comments were convinced that they were for some reason filming on a green screen. And they were like, oh, and then when Yogscast released another video with that same style, they somebody would like come in from the background, and it's like, that's very obviously not a green screen, but people were like, oh, look how they edited it to make sure it was the same. It's like, it's very people very easy to fool.
They got so convinced.
Yeah, they convinced themselves that the Yogscast was filming on a green screen, and then further convinced themselves because of the way the Yogscast was filming it, because they were also kind of playing into the thing that they were doing. And then I think they released one more of them actually on a green screen, just to like to mess with the audience.
That's funny.
Yeah, just as like a base point, it is rather easy to fool a YouTube audience, because if you like do something that they find weird, they'll just hyperfixate on that and just try and they'll just like abandon all other options and say this has to be the case. Very funny. Yeah, well, that sounds cool. I hope that goes well at some point in the future. I don't remember, as an aside, I don't remember if we actually reached a point in our rant about movies at all, but we did, so we're ending it, I guess.
You definitely ranted.
Oh well. So yeah, one more time. That's all you've been doing this week?
That's all I've done.
Okay.
And I gotta go in a couple minutes.
What?
And I gotta go to sleep for 30 minutes. Nap time. Headache.
Gotta go to sleep. Can't do nothing else. So moving on to me. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat of like not been doing too much. Played more on Minecraft, did more of the boring stuff that I do, which is make more paths and spruce up villages for some reason. I made more maps.
Yeah, I tried following one of your roads. I gave up.
I mean, they're not marked yet. I'm planning on doing that, but you know, they just lead to. I have 3 villages connected by paths now.
Right.
It's kind of annoying to go from my base all the way across the world to just do some stuff, and if I forget a material, I have to go back. That's a little annoying, but it's whatever.
Do you have?
So we're definitely building Nether stations.
I was gonna say. Would you like me to hook up some of your villages, the village you're working on, to the Nether hub? Because Fisharama broke through the sky.
What?
She broke through the ceiling of the Nether, so we have an upper Nether access thing.
I see.
And I built a portal hub up there. I was about to say I built a pawn hub. That doesn't make any sense. I built a spawn hub, but it's not a spawn hub because it's in the Nether.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
All right then. I don't
to everyone's base except Matthew's.
I don't think so, just because I'm kind of planning on just like building storage houses around the world, just so I have access to materials and don't have to go all the way back.
Okay.
It probably won't be anything too big. It's just some basic materials for like building the roads and stuff. And those are all specific materials, so I can just set up small things.
Okay. We're starting a shopping district, by the way. If you have anything you would like to sell or buy.
All right. Good to know. Yeah. It isn't like, what I do isn't
what you've been doing. You've been building Minecraft. Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But the basic thing is like what I have been doing is not too interesting. Just continuing to connect villages. And what was the one other thing? Oh yeah, I made more maps. I mapped out all of that snow biome. Finally, it's very big and takes up a very large space. And then I possibly found another snow biome actually that isn't connected to the one I was mapping out. So there's that now. But who cares about that other snow biome? I don't need to map it out. That's not important. So,
well, you will eventually, I'm sure.
So yeah, I finished that now. Otherwise, I haven't been doing too much else. I randomly decided to hook up my PS2 and play a Dragon Ball game of all things. I don't know why. I was just in the mood to play a Dragon Ball game that I had, so I randomly hooked up my PS2 and played some of that. It's not really super worth talking about. It's Budokai Tenkaichi 1. It's good. I like it. It's fun. It's not super worth talking about. But yeah, that's about it.
All right.
So moving swiftly onwards to the trailers, and we'll probably bash right through these, presumably. I don't think any. We'll see. So trailers. First of which we have is for Ship of Fools.
Boring.
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 What do you mean?
It's
boring?
very strange.
Not as good as Saturnal or Terraria. I couldn't get Saturnal out of my head. I forgot all the other ones, I think, but Saturnal kept coming back to me because it actually sounds like a game I might enjoy.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad a game stuck in your head.
Ship of Fools does not look like a game I would enjoy.
Well, that is fair.
And again, Don't Starve does not look like a game I would enjoy, so that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know if this would be up your alley specifically, but So Ship of Fools is a sort of a cartoony, possibly co-op, or no, it is a cartoony co-op roguelite game where you sail on a ship through a hexagonal grid map, discovering certain things, the whole roguelite fare. You fight monsters, or as you collect items, you do weird stuff. But obviously the catch is that if you lose, if the ship sinks, you restart at the beginning. Oh. In sort of a time warp, if you will. But not really a time warp, because that's just how a lot of roguelikes work. Yes, so one thing I will say about Ship of Fools, it's being made by Fika and published by Team 17, which usually has a good... Team 17 usually has a good... what's the term? They usually are like a seal of quality in terms of games. Team 17. The stuff they publish is usually pretty good. So, and this does look good, I will say. Ship of Fools. You play as like little frog creatures. Little cute little frog creatures on this ship.
All right.
So the one major point I want to discuss is that this game very much reminds me of a FTL.
What?
So FTL, Faster Than Light. FTL, Faster Than Light is a roguelite game as well, which is somewhat similar to this game in that you have a ship and you go through like this map, and you eventually have to get to the end of the map to fight a big thing. That game is like brutally difficult because it's all like kind of roguelite-y random chance, whether you'll get something good or not. You have all these different ships. Regardless, this game very much reminds me of that in regards to the main gameplay loop, it looks like. Which is not a bad thing. FTL, Faster Than Light, is a good roguelite. Even though it's really difficult. The one major difference, obviously, is the general gameplay. Instead of a sort of real-time strategy affair, this is more of a general what's the term? Top-down, like fighty, swingy sort of... I can't think of the names, but you control the characters on the ship. You roll around to dodge attacks, and you attack the things directly. So instead of a real-time strategy, it's this thing. Whatever you would call that. I can't think of the words.
All right.
FTL is a real-time strategy that you can pause the gameplay and think about your actions. This is something I would not classify in that regard. But regardless, Ship of Fools, it looks interesting and is coming out November 22nd. So it'll be out in a month or two. So look forward to that if you wish. It's coming to all of the major consoles and PC. Except for Switch. Oh, no, it is coming to Switch. Never mind. Features co-op gameplay. I did mention that, but I don't think I put enough focus on it. It does feature co-op gameplay, so you and a friend can play through the chaos that awaits. Yeah. Anything else to add, either of you?
No.
All right. So that was Ship of Fools. As I expected, we are going to run through these quite quickly. Next up, we have Roots of Yggdrasil. So, the trailer itself, yes.
The idea that Ragnarok is some sort of amoral event in which a bad calamity happens is very, very modern perspective. The Vikings at least mythologically, as far as we're able to learn, wanted Ragnarok to happen.
Yeah.
Which is partly why they came up with the idea of it. And hung on to the idea of it and mythologized it. Or maybe it was some kind of crazy prophecy, but whatever.
Right.
Ragnarok is something that they definitely very likely wanted to have happen, I would presume.
Well,
I know about them. And
Ragnarok is one of the few things in Norse mythology that I don't actually know a lot about. So I cannot confirm or deny what you are saying.
The Viking believes that one day the world as we know it would come to an end. They called this Ragnarok. Ragnarok was not only the doom of man, but also the end of gods and goddesses. It would be the final battle between Aesir and the giants.
Mm-hmm.
So not just the final battle between the powerful beings you can interact with, the final battle between the two beings so powerful that in order to access them, the gods had to communicate with them, and then humans had to communicate with the gods. But there was no reason for the humans to communicate with these creatures because they were so beyond them.
All right.
I'm making that up, by the way. I didn't actually read anything yet.
All right then. So the Utes of Yggdrasil, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Yggdrasil is the world tree.
Yggdrasil.
I like Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil is good.
I can't pronounce words.
There's no O, so I don't know where you're getting the Yog from. But Yggdrasil is totally fine.
Well, it's a Y. It's a YG, so my brain is like Yig or Yig. You know.
Yes, Yig. Yggdrasil. Yig.
I don't listen, man.
Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil. Perfect.
Whatever.
Perfect. Yggdrasil.
I'm a dumbass, so
no, it's Yggdrasil.
Regardless, so
really?
Utes of Yggdrasil, roots of
say it right. Oh my gosh.
Roots of Kentucky Fried Chicken is the reveal trailer specifically, which is the only trailer that is out for this game right now. I looked. So this is just an animated reveal trailer, which does not show any gameplay whatsoever or really what the game actually looks like. So the animated trailer is not like the greatest way to market your game, I think. If it makes you interested in the game, cool, but like it doesn't show you anything of what the game actually is. So that's just a personal thing. Regardless, Roots of Yggdrasil is
now you're doing it on purpose.
Is a city builder. Specifically, so Roots of
that is not what I got from the trailer, but I also realize now that I didn't get anything from the trailer. There's nothing.
Exactly.
It was just world building.
So Roots of Yggdrasil is a roguelite city builder, obviously based on Norse mythology set in a post Ragnarok world, which is what we talked about before.
Hey,
so
by the way, just real quick, the website that I'm researching on, it says it's got a section where it talks about the goes that survive Ragnarok. It says which goes survive Ragnarok. Well, several of the gods will survive.
Oh.
But the title of the chapter is which goes will survive.
Something tells me that website ain't too good. I don't know what it is, but something tells me.
I don't know. The goes, maybe that's what's hinting to me. I trust everything I just read from this website.
So
definitely.
Yeah.
Sounds like a valuable source of information. You should use it for everything.
A single typo doesn't mean anything.
So so like obviously this game takes place in a post Ragnarok world. We've already gotten to that. After the world tree was obliterated, there's like shards of the tree.
Yep.
Or shards of the nine realms remain scattered about the cosmos, blah blah. Yes. Yeah, so pieces of the sapling, the world tree saplings, the Yggdrasil saplings are protecting these Vikings against whatever's outside their little bubble, whatever Ragnarok fumes are left.
What? There's a giant pit also, it looks like, at least.
I mean, it's all like floating islands in this abyss of space, which is interesting.
Maybe this creates the floating island world. Maybe we're about to enter the floatyverse.
The floatyverse. Yes. So as this is a roguelite, that means that there is a time loop based mechanic as part of this game. Apparently, the Vikings' main goal is to break the time loop and repair their broken home. And I don't know what the time loop entails specifically. But yeah, so that's sort of the basic like outline of the game. The game itself has this kind of nice looking cell shaded art style. Like if you go to the Steam page or just look up the game, you can see images of it, images of what the game actually looks like. It has this nice 3D sort of cell shaded kind of like cartoony art style to it, with like detailed illustrations of characters when they bring up like dialogue boxes and stuff. It's a city builder. I don't know how more complicated you can add to that. This is the first city builder roguelite I have ever heard of, I will say. That's definitely a new one. Unique concept at the very least. Being developed by Mana Void Entertainment, which pretty new developer as far as I can tell. Pretty new developer. They only really have one other game that has garnered some amount of attention, which is Rainbow Billy the Curse of the Leviathan, which is just a stunning title, to say the least.
Rainbow Billy the Curse of the Leviathan. Oh my goodness. What is this?
Stunning title. So yeah, I don't know. It looks like, I will say the game itself does look fine. I don't know. I'll have to see like some actual gameplay to like really sink my teeth into whether or not it might be good or not. But like from the offset, it looks okay, and they clearly have some amount of budget if they can make this nice looking animated trailer. So there's at least that, you know.
Or they had an entire budget that just went into the, just kidding.
Oh, that would be unfortunate. That'd be unfortunate.
Even graphics. It doesn't even have graphics. It's
just... no graphics. It's just a white cube that you put other white cubes on, and you play this trailer in the background to help you cope with what you have purchased.
Yeah.
And it's $80.
Yeah, it's $80. All of everything's DLC. But yes.
Yeah. You buy the base game, but it's just the main menu.
A turn-based roguelite? How did I not notice that before? Whatever. There's a lot of combinations to this game that are interesting combinations I've not seen before, that I'll be interested to see how they actually work. Yeah, the trailer itself looks nice, but doesn't really give a lot of information. I've already said that. I just fucking repeat myself so many times. But yeah, that's about it for Roots of Yggdrasil. I technically pronounced it correctly, but I didn't pronounce the G at all. So there is no release date for this yet, as it is just a reveal trailer. So it is at the very least coming to PC sometime next year. So that's all we have on it. Anything else to add, you two? You know? All right. Yeah, Utes of Rodgril, Roots of Yggdrasil. There we go. Fuck me. It looks fine. It looks okay. Moving on to our third trailer is Luna Abyss. So, Luna Abyss is if I can get this open. Luna Abyss is, oh my god, is this the one that, no, it's the other one. Luna Abyss is a sort of horror first-person shooter bullet hell. So it's a bullet hell game in first-person shooter style. For those of you who don't know what a bullet hell game is, I feel like the words should be simplified. Basically, lots of bullets on screen that you have to dodge, that kind of thing. The style of the game looks kind of creepy and interesting. You're on some kind of alien ship prison thing.
Yeah, it's
alien structure.
It's got a couple of good scenes. Like really good scenes, and a couple of not as good scenes.
Yeah. The gameplay itself, from what is in the trailer, it looks fine, kind of basic, but I'm not entirely sure how much you can do with first-person shooters nowadays. The bullet hell part of this structure is the more interesting. More interesting part of it, in the fact that, I haven't seen a lot of first-person bullet hells before. Usually, that's not a super something that you see a lot of. But it's being developed by the Bonsai Collective, which Bonsai Collective is fairly new studio as well, and I believe this is their only game, the only game they have under their belt currently.
Let's make me re-review it a little bit. How expensive is this game?
It is not out yet, so
okay, so we don't know.
This is a announcement trailer. It is coming to the PC, PlayStation, and Xbox platforms. There's not a specific release date. It is coming soon, which means probably, if I had to take a guess, considering this is just an announcement trailer, we'll probably get another trailer for this in the coming months, and then maybe a release date for Christmas or winter season, or possibly early next year, if I had to take a guess, just based on the trailer itself. Yes. Wow.
That one shot of the abyss is really cool. That one shot of the abyss where it's talking, and it's these weird creepy things moving around, and then it shows this really claustrophobic tunnel that's infinite space up and down, but also still super claustrophobic. Very evocative, very an emotion in me, a definite emotion.
Yeah, it does have, so personally, it's a little dark, a lot of the same kind of colors, a lot of darker, grays and blacks and red for contrast. It doesn't look bad, it's just a lot of the same color. It's kind of hard to make out specific details. The enemies themselves look fine. They're kind of creative for what it is. Yeah, Luna Abyss. There's some kind of story. I don't know what it is. There's not enough information for me to claim that otherwise. But yes, if it wasn't obvious at first, or I did mention this, but you're inside some kind of mysterious alien structure, as per the game's actual description. And yeah, that's about it, I guess. I don't know. It's certainly interesting looking. I'd like to see more from this at the very least. I want to see more of where this goes and more gameplay to see like how that is fully. So yeah, Luna Abyss. As I said, do not have a release date. And is there anything particular either of you want to say about it? No, Matthew?
Nope.
Good to know. Yeah, Luna Abyss. Moving on to our final trailer of the day, which is Midnight Fight Express. This game, or the trailer for this game at the very least, is the official combat overview trailer. There were a couple, like 2 other trailers for this game already. One was like a kind of story overview. The story isn't very complicated. It's just, it's essentially what?
Basically just punching things and learning how to punch things better and more.
I mean,
just perfectly good.
Well, I mean, no, the story is like essentially you're just like this guy that's, what was it? There's some evocative, like, not evocative. So, okay, so the story isn't very complicated. Essentially just like big guy, which is what they call him, some kind of corporate owner type individual is doing something, don't know what, is not explained in the trailers at least, and you're this character who's like fed up with the sort of life he's had, so it's like, and you're just, I don't know, I can't explain things well. I want to say it's like, the story to like, Fight Club?
Yeah, in a Fight Club.
It's Fight Club, except instead of just a secret club, it's a guy going on a rampage throughout the streets and actually taking it to like the big businesses. There you go. That's the story.
Just one guy rampaging through the streets.
Yeah, he has some help in the form of like the voiceover guy who, as far as I can tell, controls some kind of drone, but that's about it. So yeah, the Midnight Fight Express. It is a top-down brawl. It is a top-down 3D sort of brawling game. What is the term? I can't. Beat 'em up. Instead of a side-scrolling beat 'em, you get the idea. You have a lot of combat maneuvers. You can parry. You can do all this cool stuff that you'd expect from a beat 'em up at this point. There's some small amounts of platforming as well. There's this whole upgrade tree. You get the idea. I don't need to go into too much detail about that. But yes, 3 brawler mechanics. Midnight Fight Express looks fine. I've talked about how graphics have reached sort of like a point of being fine before. This is fine. Graphically, it's fine. It looks fine. Combat looks fine as well. I mean, like, it kind of looks like the general combat moves are a little samey, but at the same time, it looks like it's complicated enough to not get boring, at least. I mean, it's probably not going to be a very long game. You can also use a lot of tools in the environment to your advantage, as well as guns and just objects. You can slow down the flow of time to, like, what's the term? Get some like information on what's happening around you. You get the idea. Can't words right now for some reason. But I mean, there's a lot. There is actually quite a bit to this, I will say. like there is a decent amount of depth to the combat from the looks of it, as well as like obviously the upgrade skill tree and otherwise. There's like a whole like what's there, like training grounds you can go to and do missions in. It's honestly pretty interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of like, you can also like customize your character a lot from what I've seen. Yeah, Midnight Flight Express will be releasing pretty soon, actually. In fact, it's going to be releasing August 23rd, and it's going to be released on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation platforms, and is also being directly added onto Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass if you have those. So you can just try this game out in, right away if you want. But yeah, I don't know. Midnight Flight Express is not like a very complicated game, but it looks fun in its own way. Yeah, that's about anything to add. I probably knew. No. Yeah, we kind of flashed through that one, but also it was the longest trailer technically, and it's like, but there was less to talk about, I guess. I don't know. We kind of sped through that one a little bit by accident. I don't know. It looks fine. I feel like I'm not being very evocative, but like you can look at the trailers if you want. I put them in the description for a reason. Whoops, not that. Anyways, moving on to host topics / news.
Is there news?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Well,
there is news of some kind. There's PlayStation, the state of play for PlayStation.
I think you're looking at different things. So,
okay, maybe I am.
So PlayStation, yeah. So I don't. Maybe we'll just skip this for later. But like, basically, my host topic. The reason I brought up news / host topic is because
D&D 1.
D&D 1 is not something game related technically, except it kind of is because of what they're doing. I don't know. I claimed that to be a host topic, but whatever.
So what is this D&D 1? How about if we talk about the thing that we actually know what we're talking about? And Matthew will have thoughts on this, I'm sure, because he knows what it is, right? You just muted yourself in order to talk.
Somewhat.
So D&D 1. So
and I'm the tired one.
So Wizards of the Coast released a video on their official YouTube channel called D&D 1 D&D, because that's what they're calling it. They're calling it 1 D&D. 1 D&D world reveal trailer thing, which is a bunch of people talking into the camera, switching between, that kind of review style where it's like halfway through after a person is done with a sentence, it just like cuts to either them talking again but at a slightly different angle, or cuts to another person talking.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it doesn't feel like they were actually done. It doesn't feel like they were, you know what I mean? It's like that kind of style of like, it's not exactly. There's also some voiceover. They talk about a lot of D&D related stuff in regards to it's not exactly a new edition, but the major thing. Okay, so the major thing in regards to this is that, as with their acquisition because of their acquisition of D&D Beyond, as with that, they are, what was the words they used? Oh, I can just fucking open up this. Oh, God, why am I an idiot? So
because of their acquisition with D&D Beyond, They were traveling down a bridge in Moria when suddenly the ceiling began falling for some reason, and it got really hot. And so they were walking along, and the
definitely.
bridge they were walking across got hit by a big falling stalactite, big old falling stalactite, and it cracked it. And then it cracked the other side too, cutting them off. So they had to jump. They had to jump from here onto a wobbly pillar, and then onto the rest of the walkway.
A wobbly pillar.
Yeah. So
people who designed D&D1, they were in the middle of a cave, walking down through Moria.
So
situation. Yes.
So specifically, they're calling out that Chris Perkins was saying, they no longer are in a position where they think of D&D as an addition. It is just D&D.
No.
Something they said.
Okay.
Yeah, they're essentially
postmodernism. There are no borders. There are no.
It's kind of this weird, like,
there is no D&D.
It's, I guess you could call it a 5e.5.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
In a way, or 6th edition, depending on, but it isn't. So they're updating the rules of 5e.
Okay.
By changing some stuff, but they're not changing what you like about it or taking away what you like. They're just adding more, apparently. There has been slight changes to 5e over the last several years in regards to the newer editions of the books, reprintings, and changing stuff on that.
But is this supposed to be 6th edition, or is this supposed to be 5.5?
I don't know. They don't call it either. It's one D&D.
Yeah, they're not doing editions anymore, so they say.
So it's 6th edition. No, but it's not. It's cross-compatible. Here's my thinking. As long as it's cross-compatible, it's basically the same edition. 2nd and 1st edition have different rules, but they were so cross-compatible, they were the same thing.
So yeah, it is apparently all of the stuff they are doing is backwards compatible with 5e. Subtle blah blah.
I'm sure you can guess my enthusiasm at the fact that
it's
not a new edition.
I'm kind of beating around the bush on this, but the major thing in regards to this is that they are slightly changing the rules. It might be core rules, it might not be core rules. I don't know about that. They haven't detailed what they are changing, what they are not changing. But apparently they're updating some stuff and giving us more stuff. But the stuff they're adding on to so part of this is that they wanted to make an all-inclusive experience where you had everything in one place. And part of that is because of their acquisition of D&D Beyond. Obviously, now it's an online space, and the ultimate culmination of this is one D&D, which is a virtual tabletop system thing that they're developing. So Wizards of the Coast is developing a digital play, D&D digital play experience that will work alongside D&D Beyond and the Dungeons & Dragons rule set, obviously.
I would rather them work with other things like Tailspire or Roll20, you know.
Yeah. Staying tools. So the thing about this system is that they're using Unreal Engine 5 to quote unquote make it look dope, which is what they said. So it's this full 3D play experience that they're making in Unreal Engine 5. You can have miniatures in it, play terrain and stuff and whatever. The main thing about this, though, is that it feels like, from what I can tell, it's mainly just for modules. Because what they said is that, what they specifically said is that you can have this, you can have all these cool things from this module, and then you can take those things and make your own thing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the next generation of Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, there's also some kind of tilt shift camera thingy, which they chose because apparently it makes everything look small from a DM's perspective or whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a video game. It's a digital experience. Yeah, obviously this isn't the first time that Dungeons and Dragons or fucking Wizards of the Coast had tried to do digital related things with D&D.
Yeah, they tried that with 4th edition.
Yeah, they tried that with 4th edition.
Program and it fell through.
Yeah. However, this is not exactly the same because this is a full 3D digital experience that you can play games in. Think of TaleSpire.
The future is VR, totally, definitely. Everyone wants to have a
definitely.
Who wouldn't want to have a screen strapped to their face, Aaron?
Yeah, exactly.
Relax.
There's also this weird, I don't know. There's some weird stuff with this.
D&D 1. What is D&D 1? Start playtesting now. Playtesting.
Yeah, you can playtest the thingy, the D&D 1 on the thingy, the website, D&D Beyond. You can playtest it.
Huh.
I mean, the 3D environments, it's kind of like a 3D diorama type thing with obviously the miniatures, and it looks fine. I mean, we've had the technology to do stuff like this for years. I mean, just look at TaleSpire or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this is official TaleSpire.
Yeah,
They're ripping off of TaleSpire.
They could just make TaleSpire official.
That would be nice.
They could just partner with them.
Yeah, so the main sort of concern that a lot of people have brought up in regards to this is what exactly all of this means specifically. Because obviously this is all digital, because it has the new rules and all the new stuff in this digital format on that, and it's so do you have to purchase all of these things again? You could already own digital copies of the rules books on fucking D&D Beyond and otherwise, but they were basically full price, and then obviously those rule sets would be updated and immediately if they decided to update it instead of printing a new book. I mean, you could call this 6th edition, but it also technically isn't, I guess. I don't know.
I'm gonna just call it 5.5.
Yeah,
I think that's the best way of putting it, because 5th edition, 2nd edition was a cleaner version of 1st edition, but there's basically no difference. And it was an early innovator, and then 3.5 and 3 are very similar. And they were considered basically the same edition. Which is what this looks like.
Basically the same. We're no, these are the same thing.
Should note, I'm very tired.
Yeah, I get that. Anyways, one day, I don't know. This is kind of like a host topic, news topic thing. It's I just want to talk about because it just confuses me, and I don't know. I didn't have a lot of deep feelings when I looked at that, aside from confusion and otherwise. What happened? Where are you?
I'm right here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Why'd you turn off the camera?
Because I'm lying down.
That makes sense. All right. Well,
I guess we can have video. I'll just be like this.
I'm sure people are very interested in this. Yes. So
I use it to lure my cat,
especially the people on SoundCloud.
So let's just blast through these really quickly. First of all, let's just get rid of this. Yeah, so that'll be a host topic. If you're interested in D&D and all, you can skip it, I guess, if you aren't, which is fair. So, first of all, let's just talk about what? What'd you say?
No. That can work as our host topic because I actually want details on what this is. If Samir can stay up for it.
What, the one D&D or?
Yeah, because right now all I know is the little bit Matthew said about it being like simplified.
To my knowledge,
it like. Well, I mean, I'm not like I don't know.
Knowledge.
The details about it specifically are like they are updating the rule set with new rules, but I don't know what those new rules are because they haven't revealed them.
Yeah.
It's possible that they are going to, like, people are speculating that they're probably not going to touch any of the core rules, but that probably won't be the case because apparently they've already touched some of the core rules. Like, I mean, D20s, rolling a D20 is now, rolling a natural 20 is now a changed rule.
What are you talking about?
Well, apparently they updated it to where a natural 20 is always a success instead of not, because apparently
ability checks.
Apparently they updated the rules so a natural 20 is always a success just because that's a house rule most people were running with anyways.
I mean, that's fair.
And a natural 1 is always a failure. So like that's already a thing that they have changed. I think they did possibly change how short rests work as well.
What?
Or short and long rests. Basically, something that they did change was apparently if you are interrupted during a long rest, it can count as a short rest if a certain amount of time has passed. So that's something that apparently got put in. All I'm saying is that there's no guarantees on what they are going to fix. They're going to put in or update as things progress. And there's also them saying to be more inclusive or whatever. There's this really weird bit in the video itself where this lady says, what does she say specifically?
Oh, I don't remember.
She says, oh my God.
But yeah, I know the clip you're talking about.
Yeah, she says like, sorry. Yeah, so there's this weird part where this lady is like, I never saw myself as the hero in fantasy because I never imagined someone like me could be the hero. And it's like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
It's like, because when I first heard that, I wasn't even making the assumption she was talking about, like, because when I was reading the comments, I was like, oh, was she talking about her race?
Oh,
her
I
gender?
definitely, like,
if
I didn't pay attention to that sort of thing, it's an interesting psychological thing that's happening.
I didn't even
I would not have any clue.
It didn't even register in my mind that she might have been talking about her race or gender, because it's like I was just confused by her statement. It's like, okay, that seems like more of a you problem.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my first thought was like, I love fantasy growing up, but I never saw myself as the hero. It's like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Do you not have an imagination?
Yeah, just write your story and
like, honestly, don't even know if that's what she was referring to. Ultimately, I was just reading the comments and people were bringing that up, and I was like, oh, is that what she was talking about?
Probably.
I wouldn't have fucking thought about it. But it's whatever. Also, you're asleep.
I don't know what you're talking about. He's not asleep.
Yeah, he's definitely not asleep.
He looks totally awake.
Not
by how
asleep.
responsive he is. Hi, Devin. What's your opinion? Yes, I agree so much. What an interesting opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird. It's just weird. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It. I will say it does. I don't know how restrictive this new digital experience thing they're making is going to be, because as far as I can tell, it's basically like they give you pieces to play with and then you make stuff out of it instead of otherwise. You know, it's basically like they give you all these cool things from a module and then you can make cool things with those pieces in the module.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
And it's like, okay, I just have a feeling, ever so slightly, that it's going to be kind of restrictive and not very open source for people to mess around with. You know, I just have a feeling that it's not going to have a lot of flexibility when it comes to what people can and can't do with it. You know, just based on how Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro runs their business. There's also the fact that you might just have to buy all of the books again digitally to have the rules.
You might have to do that.
There's also the
but
one
from what I've
D&D
heard,
one D&D might cost something as well. Who knows?
Yeah. But from what I've heard about it, once you have one of the books, like that has it, there's a code or something that gives you a digital copy. But that's probably not for the old books, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, apparently, according to some other stuff I read in regards to the official rules, apparently critting is no longer something NPCs can do. Like, getting a critical hit is no longer something NPCs can do. It's something I heard about from reading around.
No, you're gonna have to find that source again because I want to see this.
I don't have an official source for it. I was just reading around and I saw something about it.
Oh, if that's the case, that's really stupid.
But apparently NPCs and just can't make critical hits according to the official rules, apparently, is what I've heard. Regardless, I don't know. It kind of is what it is. I didn't want to spend too much time on this, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, look forward to that eventually, I guess. I don't fucking know. I guess I'll randomly look out for more information regarding it.
I don't like the idea of it, personally.
I mean,
mostly because I'd like a 6th edition, but instead of more 5th edition.
6th edition is going to be shit if they ever decide to make it.
I mean, true, but
anyways,
I could hope.
Yeah, so that's all for one D&D, which is also the worst name for something ever, by the way.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Yeah, and then also, I mean, I mentioned the D&D, the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves movie earlier, but that didn't get a new trailer, and it just looks generic and bad.
Wait, it got a new trailer?
Well, it might not have a new trailer, but I saw a trailer for it. I thought it was a new trailer. Doesn't matter.
I know they got a trailer.
Doesn't matter. Moving on to actual news. So, go wake Devin up really quick so he can.
Devin, wake up! I was hoping that would work.
Whatever. He doesn't have to be awake for the news. I just want him awake for the end of the podcast.
Yeah, I'll go wake him up.
So, the news, it's not too much, I suppose. I guess I'll just get out of this one first. So, Sunsoft, which is a very old school developer, has made plans or announced plans to return to the gaming sphere with remakes of some of their classic game series from the NES era. Specifically, the games will be Iki Unite. Where were they? Iki Unite, which is a co-op multiplayer remake based on the original Iki for the NES. The other games will be Gimmick and Euphoria as well. Euphoria is a Metroidvania style, will launch for PC and consoles at some point next year. And obviously Gimmick will also be coming to PC via Steam, Nintendo Switch, and the PlayStation Xbox this winter. Freshly added features included a time attack mode and achievements. So Sunsoft is a very old school developer that I haven't heard anything about in a while. They haven't done a whole lot. They have a very odd history in terms of games that they've made. A lot of licensed games mixed with some original stuff. But yeah, they have a good reputation in terms of the music that they create, and yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot to say about this particular. It is interesting to see such an old developer come back with new things, even if it is remakes of their classic titles. But it is interesting. I will also note that the original Iki game that they are remaking to Iki Unite was very not not infamous, I suppose. It was quite crap when it in its first release. So they're hoping to actually make it good. Literally, apparently, it coined a Japanese phrase "kusaji," which literally translates to "crap game" or "shitty game." So, Iki does not have a great reputation, but they're hoping to actually make it good. So that's interesting at the very least. And yeah, that's all I really have to say about this. Just kind of cool that Sunsoft is back. But yeah, moving on to the next bit of news. I guess, we'll end with that. So Spider-Man has recently been released onto PC, and it has enjoyed a very successful release. However,
I can imagine.
What are they called?
Hey, Devin.
People have been. If I can where is the thing I'm looking for? God, open. Jesus Christ. Fuck me. Data miners have been looking through the files in the game that have been left over. I've been looking through the files in the game, and they have come across several interesting things. First of which was some kind of scrapped multiplayer game mode for the game. But the other thing, the major thing that we're talking about today is the data miners have found evidence that Sony is looking into releasing its own PC launcher. So Sony, the obviously, mainly console stuff. Some of their games have released on PC, but usually if something is PlayStation exclusive, it doesn't get on anywhere else. So this is kind of a big thing, especially for Sony, which to me was like next to Nintendo, really the only developer that really didn't try and get things on PC. So that's very interesting to me. So via VGC specifically, discovered that there is some kind of PC launcher that they are possibly planning, that PlayStation is possibly planning on launching. This has not officially been confirmed. This is just stuff that people have found within the files of the Spider-Man PC release. However, this apparently does tie into other speculation across the web early this year with a job listing that PlayStation put out or advertised, and the company was looking for a director product management PC game experiences. So there is some amount of, whatever it's called. There is some amount of weight behind this find. The role requires the successful applicant to take the lead on the overall PC gaming experiences for PlayStation, including the leadership and responsibility to implement and deliver to our players worldwide. Lead and evolve the PlayStation game experience roadmap for all game-related experience, including SDK development, client application experiences as PlayStation Network platform integration. That was basically what this director product management PC game experience person would be doing that I was talking about. Apparently people have been sort of predicting that this might be the case since early 2022. It was already being discussed on some internet forums back then. The other major thing to this is that VCG also viewed files pertaining to PlayStation Network integration into PC games. So on top of its PlayStation's own PC launcher, they would also have PSN integration. So their current PSN system would be linked to the whatever PC launcher they may or may not end up producing. While neither Marvel Spider-Man nor any other of the PlayStation Studio PC games currently allows connectivity with PSN accounts, Spider-Man's files contain multiple references to PSN account linked and PSN linked entitlements. So and also obviously all of the PlayStation PC games that have been released have released on Steam and Epic. So ultimately this is very interesting to me, as well as I assume anybody, just because even if you thought this was a long time coming, I feel like this is kind of a surprise. As Sony is kind of a Japanese company, I say kind of because they have a lot of like diverse things that they do, but they are technically, they are a Japanese company in regards to like some of the more major things they do. Especially early on in their life. Well, early on in the console regards to their life. Because, you know, Sony products, like, that's a whole thing in and of itself. Like, Sony products were very big, and they are kind of like a very Japanese thing. It doesn't matter. I don't need to explain myself. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, that's about it, I suppose. Just ultimately very, very interesting. And I suppose exciting, but this also means that another launcher for very specific games is coming out, and that's already a thing other publishers / developers have done, which means it's just going to break up the fucking market even more. You know how streaming the example I can give for you two is the streaming service example, where it's like people who own specific things start their own service just so they can have their own things on it and they can get more money out of it. You know, that old story. So it's going to break up the market a little bit, but it annoys me because I'd rather just one. Well, I wouldn't rather one. I would technically rather many, just so there is more competition. But it also is. I like multiple things for competition's sake, but I don't enjoy exclusivity because it sort of makes things worse. You know what I mean? So it's like,
I think so.
So it's basically like having the option to purchase something on multiple storefronts is good, because it means, you can choose and you can pick and choose, and there's constant competition for making, like, competition is good so that you don't get a monopoly, because that's kind of what Steam was for a long time. It was Steam basically had Valve and Steam had a monopoly on on where games got to be released on PC for a long time. And they still kind of do, but there's more competition than there was. But as far as I can tell, it isn't really helping because Steam and Valve are still massive lazy pieces of shit. Anyways, regardless of my opinions on Steam and its ridiculousness, yeah, it's interesting, and I will very much look forward to seeing what comes out of that at the very least. Now, moving on to the final bit of news. Go wake Devin up. The final bit of news is something at least happy to go out on, is that the Pokemon Company, or the Pokemon Company International specifically, has pledged to donate the total, a sum of at least 25 million, or over a period of 5 years, will be donated to organizations to support children and minority groups. So, I mean, that's kind of it. As I said, just the Pokemon Company doing something nice. Even if it is for PR and you could be cynical about it, But, yeah, as the Pokemon series hits its 25th anniversary since its first game was released, the company has pledged to donate at least 25 million over 5 years to organizations across the world dedicated to improving the lives of children and supporting social equity. They posted a press release earlier online as well, which I somehow missed for some reason. That's weird. Whatever. In the press release, they detailed, the Pokemon International Pokemon Company International states that a group of initial organizations has already been chosen, intended to be long-term strategic partners over the course of the 5 years. Subsequent organizations may be added later. They also made a tweet about this. Yeah, and then the 25 or the million initiative will serve as the core of our corporate social responsibility efforts. The 25 million will be used primarily as monetary donations, but will also be used to fund donations of the Pokemon trading card game and Pokemon Center products organizations, which distribute toys to families in need. So on top of money, they are also giving out toys to children and otherwise. There's a full list of the 41 initial partners available on the Pokemon Company's international website. So you can see all of the people that they are including in this. This does include UK-based charities such as Save the Children's and Barnado's. Other well-known organizations on the list also include Stop AAP, I Hate, the Trevor Project, and Legal Defense Fund. So yeah, that's about it. It's just it's a large corporation donating somewhat large fund of money over the course of a 5-year period to many organizations that help children and was the word they used, children and minority groups. That's the word they used in regards to just helping them. So money and toys.
Cool.
So yeah, I could be a cynical jackass about this, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because at least because here's the thing. Even if it is entirely for PR purposes, they are at the very least doing it. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
they are still doing it. You could argue that 25 million over the 5-year period is not a very large amount of money considering Pokemon as a entity in the market. But, it's still a fairly large sum of money that is going to good places. So I will, at the very least, accept that out of it. What about you? Anything to add?
I think it's neat.
Yeah, okay. Devin, what about you?
I'm pretty sure Devin's.
What do you think about the Pokemon Company delivering toys and money to children?
Devin.
All right, then. Don't mind him. He's just an idiot that stayed up all night. Unlike me, who is an idiot who slept slightly later today. Anyways, yeah, like you said, I could be cynical about this, but I'm just gonna ignore the cynical ideas you could come up with and allow this to just be a good act of kindness. So fucking
yeah, how about we do that?
So yeah, just to end on something nice, that is the news. And that is the news.
So yeah, Devin, what did you think of the news?
Yeah, you should
You're
go
muted.
wake him so he can fucking you're muted.
I think I'm gonna have to duck out of here.
What would give us that idea?
Oh man, I don't know. Everything feels bad.
I mean, how long were you
staying
up?
up all night?
Blah blah blah.
Anyways, we're through with the news and we're going on to shameless self-promotion. So we'll start with you so you can just duck out immediately, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, so shameless self-promotion. Devin, what do you got to promote?
You can find my channel stuff in the description or something like it. I play Minecraft. I almost said I make Minecraft. Don't do that.
You don't do
Yeah,
that,
you
do
make
ya?
Minecraft.
No.
Yeah.
You gotta live up to that.
And that's about it. I play Minecraft and I make some sketches. And yeah.
All right, good to know. I do have one question for you, though. What did you think about Pokemon donating lots of money to charities?
Pokemon's doing that?
Yes.
They're
Pokemon
donating
Company, the Pokemon Company International.
That's pretty nice.
Good. I'm glad we got your.
I like that.
Glad we got your opinion. All right, then you can duck out of here, I guess, if you want. Zathu, what about you in regards to that?
What do I have coming up? Well, I'm editing a video. I don't know how long it will be because I'm not able to spend huge amounts of time on. I'm starting to be able to spend more time on it, but hopefully it will be out sometime like next month, sometime in September. Hopefully. Just because there's some things that I need to deal with at the end, and I need to learn how replay mod works because I think I'm doing things right, but the entities aren't moving. Even though I can make the camera path work.
Right.
And that seems like a problem.
Probably.
Not probably, it is.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Also, I don't know where Devin put the stronghold portal, so I went and found a new stronghold. Anyway.
All right then. Is that it for you?
Yep.
So, all right. So you're having a new video. Where can people find that?
Hologram on YouTube.
Right. Is that a new channel?
No, that's my gaming channel.
Okay. What about Mystical Meanderings?
Mystical Meanderings is not gaming.
All right then. Whatever you say. All right then. So that's all you have?
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to me. Obviously, the podcast will hopefully continue to be posted every week, recorded and posted every week as per usual, presumably. Twitter is a thing. I post the new episode when it comes out. I still don't use it. I shouldn't like restate that every week, but you get the idea. Whatever. Obviously that'll continue. Like I said last week, the videos I have in the works are still not anytime soon, at the very least within the next several months before the end of the year. Those will come out. Yeah, other than that, I don't have anything else really. I can't make any promises, but streaming and or other types of videos may or may not happen at some point.
I will help you.
I'm being very specific about that, huh?
I will help you set up the stream setup.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
I will.
I know you will. But yeah, that's about it for me. So yeah,
well, if
thanks
you don't
all,
do it
thanks
soon.
all so much for watching this episode of GTD Podcast. If you liked it, share it around with your friends and enemies and see who likes it more.
What happens if the enemies like it more?
Make them your friend.
Now you have enemies are already your friends.
Make them your friend because now you have a common interest, and you can learn to respect each other from it. Yeah, you can find everything we talked about in the description or the pinned comment if you are on YouTube. Below, rather. Not rather, also. Fucking whatever. You know where the description is. I don't have to say below. You know where they are.
Yes.
Yeah. That's yeah. So see you all in the later of times. I can't do an ending to save my goddamn life.
Well, And now I just need to wait a few seconds.
Devin says goodbye from the depths of his heart, I'm sure.
Bye.
Yeah, there you go.